Drip, drip. The sound echoes in the cramped, old-fashioned compartment. It almost sounds like a sticky liquid dripping on a hard wooden board. Soon, two tall men emerge from the gloom, the moonlight casting unsettling shadows on their faces.
저기, 이 여자는 어떻게 할 거예요? 우리가...
신경 쓰지 말고 열차 밖으로 던져버리자고. 그러게 사람을 가려서 건드려야지.
네, 알겠어요.
The man throws the heavy, old-fashioned door open. The other man has his hands on the woman curled up in the corner trying to lift her. The sound of a whistle sounds from afar as the old train turns forward. The man holding the door open yells out impatiently.
서둘러, 출발한다고!
알았어요.
The clouds covering the full moon drift away as the cold moonlight illuminates the ground inch by inch. A slender figure is dragged around the carriage by the man. The man grits his teeth, pushing the woman outward. It seems like the woman will be out of the carriage with a little more force. At that moment, however, the slender figure seems to jolt eerily.
어?
The person's dropped head raises slowly, and only a pair of eyes can be seen in the dim light. A pair of eyes clouded with white. Ah! Your eyes snap open, the dark picture disappearing like a receding tide, but the cold shiver that creeps up your spine still spreads. It seems those empty eyes were looking at you. Phew, was it just a dream? Looking around, the warm light in the carriage reflects the interior of the reddish-brown wooden furniture, revealing a simple yet profound charm. Not far away, everyone is gathered together as if they are discussing something. And you, who should have been part of the discussion, had your mind wandering elsewhere. How did I fall asleep while sitting? You stand up, rubbing your sore arm that was pressed against the table for too long. But that dream felt too real. It was almost like I was there. Hold on a second. What am I thinking about? Dreams don't mean anything.
깼어요?
누나, 표정이 안 좋은데 무슨 일 있어요?
Oh, As you hear the familiar voice of concern, you realize the group of people gathered around the table have halted their discussion and are all looking at you in unison. For a moment, you feel guilty, like you were caught daydreaming in class. It's nothing. I fell asleep just now and had a dream.
무슨 꿈?
Well, I dreamt I was in an old train carriage. After describing what you saw in the dream, you let out a long sigh. That's about it, and I woke up frightened.
너무 피곤해서 그런 거 아니야? 특히 피곤하면 악몽을 꾸기 쉽거든.
맞아요. 정신적으로 스트레스를 너무 많이 받아서 그런 걸 수도 있어요.
미림시에서 여기까지 전용기로도 꼬박 하루가 걸렸으니까요. 장거리 여행은 체력 소비가 상당하죠.
누나, 메비우스 출발 시까지 2시간 정도 남았는데 방에 가서 한숨 푹 자고 올래요?
Your heart considerably calms upon hearing their concerned voices. It's okay, I feel great now. I won't be able to get any sleep tonight if I sleep now. You lean forward and look at the documents Vin is holding. Never mind me. What are you guys looking at?
메비우스 열차 홍보 자료인데 출발 시기랑 며칠간의 일정이 적혀 있거든요. 맞아요. 한번 훑어봤는데 오락시설이랑 케이터링 서비스도 잘 되어 있는 것 같더라고요. 아마 유명 럭셔리 여행용 열차를 참고해서 디자인한 것 같아요.
럭셔리 여행을 체험하는 게 이 열차의 핵심이잖아요. 실제로 어떨지는 출발식이 시작돼야 알 것 같네요.
I can't wait after all. Looking out the carriage window, you see rolling hills and lush forests stretching out into the distance. At this moment, you finally realize you are no longer in Stalis but on a luxury vintage train ride in Bakerlon. Experiencing a luxury train ride for an international kiss is the first for me. N2X headquarters. A month ago at the N2X headquarters. During the intermission after the meeting, Artem hands you his tablet.
베커론 광산 자원에 관한 정보랑 현장 조사, 그리고 채굴 심사 관련 법률 조항을 찾아봤어요. 한번 읽어봐요. 언젠간 쓸모가 있을 거예요.
Thank you, Mr. Wing. This is just what I needed.
그리고 조금 있다가 사라 씨랑 일정을 조율하기 위해 원격 회의를 진행할 거예요.
Yeah.
메비우스 호에 관한 자료를 보내줄게요. 회의 때 필요할 수도 있으니까요.
혹시 베커론이 요즘 홍보하고 있는 럭셔리 여행 열차 메비우스호를 말하는 건가요? 혹시 이 열차를 탈 생각이신가요?
You hadn't realized that Vin had already come over to your side. Yes, Mr. Wing and I accepted an international kiss and will be flying to Bakerlon in a few days.
혹시 의뢰인이 광업계의 거물인 사라 슈나이더는 아니지?
Marius and Luke, who are sorting through meeting materials on the side, also come over. Eh? How do you know?
어제 해외 인기 뉴스를 봤거든. 베커론의 유명 기업가 사라 슈나이더가 미림시 유명 변호사를 고문 변호사로 선임했다고 하던데. 게다가 베커론의 또 다른 유명 기업인 칸 컴퍼니가 주최하는 럭셔리 열차 여행에 참석한다는 말도 있었어.
슈나이더와 칸 모두 베커론의 유명한 두 기업 가문이라고 알고 있어요. 서로 경쟁하면서 각 분야의 자원들을 쟁탈하려고 하죠.
맞아요. 뉴스에서 최근 슈나이더 가문이 한 광산 채굴 입처리 자리를 두고 칸 컴퍼니와 경쟁하고 있다고 들었어요. 입찰의 장소도 웨비우스호의 종점인 긴눈가가프 섬이라더라고요.
어쩐지 그렇다면 입찰회가 시작되기 전 충분한 준비를 해놓기 위해서 칸 컴퍼니의 실력을 확인하려는 것 같네요.
Well, the details of the case are still under negotiation. I'm surprised Miss Schneider already went public with the information.
믿을 만한 정보에 따르면 이번에 칸 컴퍼니에선 유명한 외국 변호사팀을 고문 변호사로 선임했다고 해요. 그래서 사라 씨도 아마 이번 테미스 변호사 사무소와의 글로벌 협력을 일종의 홍보 수단으로 생각하는 것 같아요.
지극히 정상이에요. 비즈니스니까 전혀 상관없죠.
하지만 국제의뢰의 프로세스는 생각보다 상당히 복잡해요. 만약 도움이 필요한 부분이 있다면 언제든지 말씀해 주세요.
괜찮아요. 분명 잘 해낼 수 있을 거예요. 게다가 이번엔 저도 같이 가니까요.
In an instant, the temperature around Autumn seems to drop. Mary says something just as you're about to change the subject.
맞아요. 윤노아 씨가 의뢰인도 아니면서 이렇게 업무 내용을 캐묻는 건 좀 그렇지 않아요?
단지 호기심에 그런 게 아니고 저도 같이 그 열차를 타기 때문에 물어본 거예요. 시간을 계산해 보니 같은 열차를 탈 가능성이 있을 것 같아서요. 동행할 사람들에게 관심을 가지는 건 당연한 일 아닌가요?
뭐라고요? 윤노아 씨도 간다고요?
Vin reveals a deep smile amidst Artem and Mary's surprised eyes.
일정에 따르면 열차는 출발지를 떠나 마이오슨 산맥을 돌아서 마지막에 긴 눈가가프 섬에 도착하게 되어 있어요. 긴 눈가가프 섬은 스월터에서 멀지도 않고 마침 처리해야 할 업무도 있거든요.
그래서 굳이 먼 길을 돌아가겠다는 말인가요?
네, 전 상관없어요.
For some reason, things start to heat up between the two of them and you quickly interrupt them. Perfect. Don't rush there, we can depart together.
잠깐만요. 사실 이번 외국 열차 여행은 나도 같이 가게 될 것 같아요.
Mary stands up, placing a card-like object on the table. It doesn't look like something people would use today. It's more of a vintage bookmark carved with an intricate pattern.
메비우스 출발식 기념 티켓?
맞아요. 100년 전 베커론의 유명한 열차 티켓을 모방해서 특별히 디자인한 기념 티켓이에요. 전에 칸 컴퍼니가 온라인으로 홍보하면서 100년 전 상류층의 삶을 체험할 수 있는 여행이라고 했죠. 뿐만 아니라 전 세계적으로 유명한 인사들을 출발식에 초청한다고도 했고요. 화행그룹도 마침 초청 명단에 있으니 누나 이번에도 같이 갈 수 있겠네요?
이상하리만큼 적절한 타이밍에 온 초대네요.
For some reason, Vin's expression seems profound.
그러니까 다들 이번 열차 여행에 참여한다는 거네요?
Luke speaks right after Vin, causing everyone's attention to be focused on him.
어디서 많이 봤던 상황 같은데 강혁 씨, 티켓 하나 구해줄까요? 만약 필요하다면
그럴 필요 없어요.
Luke takes out a card-like object is still indistinguishable from the ticket that Maris placed on the table.
저도 며칠 전에 국제 의뢰를 받았거든요. 그래서 의뢰인이 웨비우스호의 출발식 기념 티켓을 보내줬어요.
Eh? Your client is also from Bakerlon?
비슷해.
이런 우연이 있다고요? 정말 말도 안 돼.
강혁 씨, 설마 전부터 소식을 알고 미리 티켓을 준비한 건 아닌가요?
믿든 말든 상관없어요. 구체적인 내용은 의뢰인의 정보와 관련이 있어서 더 이상 말해줄 수 없을 것 같네요.
It is obvious that Luke is deliberately withholding information. But he seems reluctant to say anything else. Instead, he stands there quietly with folded arms.
이번에도 팀으로 움직여야겠네요.
Isn't that great? That means everyone can be together, right?
알았어요.
당신과 또 다른 풍경을 볼 수 있다는 건 항상 기대가 되네요.
그럼 이렇게 하죠. 자료를 메일로 보내뒀으니 한번 확인해봐요.
Don't worry, I'll be well prepared before the trip. And so, after the itinerary is set, everyone boards a private jet arranged by Maris to fly thousands of miles away from Celis to a country in the north, Bakerlon. I didn't think we would be departing from the Mayasan Mountains. Even with an express shuttle arranged, it still took a few hours to get on here. I'm exhausted. It does feel different on the Mobius, almost as if we've just stepped into a century-old history book.
누나, 무슨 일 있어요? 왜 아무 말 없이 그렇게 서 있어요?
많이 피곤해 보이네요. 너무 무리할 필요 없으니 조금 더 쉬도록 해요.
Don't worry, I'm fine. I was just thinking that it's a little boring seeing in the room. There's still some time before the embarkation ceremony. Why don't we take a look around?
좋아, 난 찬성.
저도 100년 역사가 있는 열차의 멋을 느껴보고 싶네요.
The toned down and vintage decor in the carriages extend to the corridors of the Mobius. The dark green velvet curtains and the carved wooden bars inlaid with gold are all details highlighting the noble and luxurious atmosphere. Is this cryolite? On the same exquisite decorative shelf is a piece of art ornaments. These decorative objects, which are normally placed in the corner, are either vases or antiques, so it's the first time you've seen art ornaments.
베커론 정동이에요. 베커론의 마이어슨 산맥에서만 채굴할 수 있는 희귀한 광석이죠.
Any accessories made with this art would be unique.
베커론 정동은 굉장히 희귀해요. 밤에는 형광빛으로 보여서 현지 사람들은 액세서리로 만들곤 하죠. 이렇게 정동 원석을 장식해 놓은 건 정말 보기 드문 일이에요.
그건 마크 씨가 메비우스의 남다름을 뽐내기 위해 특별히 배치해둔 장식품이죠. 별것도 아닌 걸로 뭘 그렇게 놀라는 거예요?
Your voice is interrupted by an abrupt and rude interjection.
시끄러운 소리가 들리는 것 같지 않나요?
The door at the end of the corridor opens to reveal a man in a suit with a smug look on his face.
당신이었군요.
William Lewis? Unexpectedly, it is your old acquaintance that you've had frequent dealings with in court, William Lewis of Balt.
유 변호사님? 만나서 반가워요.
Given the indifference in Artem's voice, the nice to see you doesn't seem genuine at all. William Lewis fails to notice the overtones and continues to smirk.
아, 이곳에서 테미스 변호사님들을 만나다니. 정말 인연 아닌가요?
인연이 없지는 않은 것 같군요.
무슨 의미죠?
Recalling the news that Khan Corporation also hired a foreign attorney, a conjecture arises. No way, what a coincidence.
유 변호사님은 칸 컴퍼니의 대표 마크 씨와 함께 광산 입찰을 도와줄 고문 변호사로 오신 거겠죠. 공교롭게도 저희가 사라 씨의 고문 변호사를 맡게 되었거든요.
그게 당신들이라고요? 어떻게 된 거죠? 내가 들은 거랑 다르잖아. 이게 다 차은재 때문이야. 당신들이 오는 줄 알았으면 난...
Artem was right. Looking at William Lewis' dumbfounded expression, Maris remains calm while raising an eyebrow.
재밌네요. 갑자기 이번 일정이 기대되기 시작했어요.
그러게요. 말도 안 되는 우연이네요.
당신들...
Vin smiles and shakes his head, interrupting William Lewis.
충분히 많은 시간을 낭비한 것 같은데 이제 그만하시죠. 자리를 비켜주시겠어요? 출발식이 시작되기 전에 다른 곳을 좀 둘러보고 싶거든요.
Frowning, William Lewis glares at you all, walking away without saying a word. Needless to say, you can tell he has put all of you squarely on his radar. Forget it, let's look around. Everyone nods in agreement. You don't want your day to be ruined by a bump in the road, so you move on to the next carriage. Showroom carriage. This is... Entering the exhibition room, you expected to find a small carriage with simple display. What you see, however, is a space filled with display cases and precious collections. It is a small exhibition hall in every sense of the word.
진열장 안에 있는 것들 모두 베커론 각지에서 채굴한 광석으로 만들어진 예술품이에요.
열차 안에서 열리는 예술 전시회라니 정말 흥미롭군요.
이것도 아마 열차 여행의 셀링 포인트 중 하나겠죠?
옥석 꽃병의 입구 문양 좀 봐요. 이건 베커론 현지의 특수 토템 아닌가요? 정말 재밌네요.
Everyone admires the various display in the exhibition while chatting. Strolling over to a display case by the window, you are drawn to an ornament made of a glowing piece of ore. Hey, that crystal cluster seems to be emitting a faint glow. Autumn walks over and looks at the display case for a moment.
자료에서 본 적 있는데 고순도의 베커론 정동은 자연광 아래서 형광 빛을 유지할 수 있다고 해요. 100년 전 베커론 사람들은 빛이 나는 광석에는 영혼과 공명할 수 있는 힘이 있다고 믿었죠. 그래서 그걸 망자의 영혼과 소통하는 데 사용하곤 했어요.
그건 아주 오래전에 내려오던 전설이에요. 그때는 영상 기술이 발달하지 않아서 죽은 사람들은 세상에 더 많은 흔적을 남길 수가 없었어요. 그래서 이런 방식으로 소통하면서 희망을 걸고 마음을 털어놓고는 했죠. 엄밀히 말하자면 정신적으로 의존하는 거라고 볼 수 있어요.
젊은이들이 너무 순진하구먼. 그건 가설도 아니고 정신적 의존도 아니라네. 영혼 공명이라고 하는 것은 아직 과학적으로 증명해내지 못한 자연현상의 일종이라고 볼 수 있지.
Suddenly, an old man's voice comes from the other side of the display case. Following the voice, an old silver-haired man in a vintage suit walks over slowly. Greetings, you are...
다들 반갑네. 윌리엄 박사라고 불러주게. 난 이번 열차 여행의 여행객이자 이 전시회 책임자이기도 하지. 이건 내 명함일세.
The old man hands you a business card and a small crystal. The name on the business card reads William Miller, PhD in Occult Studies. Thank you. Is this a crystal? The crystal in your palm is made of several smaller pieces. They are clear and beautiful, looking like high-purity white crystals. Upon closer inspection, you can detect strange glimmers of light inside the crystals.
이건 베커론 정동이라는 것이야. 자네들이 내 전시회에 와준 첫 손님이라네. 이건 내가 주는 기념품이라고 생각하고 받아주게.
Eh, Dr. Miller, is this your personal exhibition?
그건 오해야. 열차에 전시실을 배치하자고 내가 칸 컴퍼니에 제안을 한 걸세. 난 일부 광석 견본만 제공했지 진열대에 있는 예술품들은 모두 칸 컴퍼니의 개인 소장품이라네. 난 그냥 이 전시품들을 관리하면서 여행도 하고 개인적인 연구를 하고 있지.
무슨 연구를 하고 계시나요?
Hearing Marius asking about his research, Dr. Miller's eyes, hidden behind thick lenses, seems to light up.
요즘은 광석의 자기장이 환경과 인체에 어떤 영향을 끼치는지에 대해 학술을 연구 중이라네. 예를 들면 광석의 자기장이 인체와 공명을 일으킬 수 있는가? 만약 그렇다면 어떤 재미난 일이 발생할 것인가? 이 모든 것이 내 연구 과제일세. 마치 자네들이 방금 이야기했던 영혼 공명처럼 말이야.
Oh. He speaks faster and faster, his tone gradually growing excited. It was like he was trying to explain all the thoughts and ideas that have been bottled up for a long time. as Dr. Miller is discussing how it is theoretically possible for an electronic device to change the Earth's magnetic field and influence a person's perception. He is interrupted by a crisp electronic bell followed by a slight electrical current over the train announcement. Then, the friendly programmed voice of a staff member is broadcasted.
승객 여러분, 메비우스호 럭셔리 여행 열차에 탑승하신 걸 환영합니다. 최선을 다해 여러분을 모시겠습니다. 10분 뒤 열차 식당 칸에서 출발식을 시작할 예정이오니 많은 관심 부탁드립니다.
벌써 시작한다고? 아직 이야기가 안 끝났는데.
He gives a rueful look followed by an expectant smile.
다들 관심 있으면 전시실에 다시 한번 찾아오도록 해.
Yeah, I will.
나중에 같이 오자. 윌리엄 박사님의 연구 주제가 꽤 흥미로운 것 같거든.
나도 껴줘요. 몰래 둘이서만 오면 안 돼요.
Okay, Mr. Wing, Dr. Richter, would you like to join us? A look of surprise is evident on Artem's face. You reflect on whether your invitation was a little out of place. But he quickly gathers his emotions and nods gently.
좋아요.
Vin on the other side adjusts his glasses, a gentle smile appearing in his eyes.
물론이죠. 좋네요.
It seems I was overthinking it. Well, it's getting late. We should head to the dining carriage. On the way to the dining carriage, the voice of an employee is heard over the broadcast again. Esteemed passengers, the Mobius Embarkation Ceremony is about to commence. Please move to the dining carriage and witness this exciting occasion. As more people make their way to the dining carriage, the corridors begin to fill with noisy and excited chatter. Where is Mr. Khan? Is he here yet? I don't think so. Mr. Khan should still be preparing his speech for the embarkation ceremony. But I heard Mr. Khan has prepared a surprise for everyone. Wow, I'm looking forward to it. With excitement bubbling among the passengers, you can't help but wonder about Mr. Khan and the surprise. A surprise? What could it be? I speculate that it will be a common advertisement. Yeah, these so-called surprise are hardly ever surprise. Are you talking about yourself? Just speaking from experience. Here we go again. Enough chit-chat, it's almost time. We should head inside. I contact Miss Schneider before we boarded. She will also be present at the embarkation ceremony. We can meet with her after it ends. Yeah. The dining carriage on the Mobius retains the same luxurious vintage decor. A record player in the corner plays the blue serenade mixed with a few whispers from the passengers. It's as if turning the clock back a few hundred years, where time is frozen in an era away from electronic devices and relying only on letters for communication. There are many local celebrities from Bakerlon. Chiara, look. Following Maria's gaze, you re-examine the passengers in the dining carriage once more. Huh? They're all celebrities? Yes. Several wealthy merchants from Bakerlon are sitting on the couch. The people chatting in the back of the dining area are well-known entrepreneurs and academics. This place is filled with famous celebrities and wealthy merchants. Khan Corporation must have gone through a lot of trouble to get them to attend. It seems Khan Corporation was very selective in its passenger manifest. Yes, only the rich and famous will expand their influence. With increased influence, it will open better paths forward for them in the future. Mr. Khan knows what he's doing. The light bell you heard over the broadcast sounds in the dining carriage. Passengers, please settle down in your seats. The embarkation ceremony is about to commence. This time, you can clearly see that the sound is coming from a golden bell in the hand of a crew member. The bell was strung by hand as expected of a vintage train. At the sound of the bell, the passengers who had been murmuring in small groups turned to find seats. A few moments later, crew members arrived delivering plates and drinks. Come on, let's get a seat too. Dining car reception area. Welcome everyone to the Mobius Embarkation Ceremony. Shortly after sitting down on the couch, a man in a suit steps into the dining carriage. He walks over to the guests and claps their hands in greeting. It's Mr. Khan. Welcome, Mr. Khan. That's Mr. Khan, the person responsible for the Khan Corporation. It's my first time seeing him, but there's something familiar about him. Is this what they mean by all foreigners look alike? Mark Khan's arrival also heralded the official start of the luxury train ride. The clapping continues amid the cheers. Meanwhile, a lone woman sitting by the window raises her eyebrows. It's Miss Schneider. You tap on the table to draw Artem's attention to the window and he nods to indicate he knows. On the other side, Mr. Khan continues with his embarkation ceremony speech. Thank you all for your enthusiasm. As the sponsor, I am very honored to have this opportunity to stand here and introduce the features of this train to you. Based on the characteristics of Bakerlon, this train will offer its passengers. After Mr. Khan goes over the train itinerary, a passenger stands up. Mr. Khan, I heard this trip was advertised with a special surprise. Can you tell us what the surprise is? All expenses for this trip will be waived. Does that count as a surprise? Everything's free? Oh, that's pretty generous of him. All expenses on this trip will be covered, so I hope everyone has a great experience on the train. In addition, there will be a luxurious buffet for all passengers today. Well, I'm sure everyone is looking forward to it. Yes, please move to the dining area and enjoy. The passengers whisper excitedly upon hearing of Mr. Khan's generosity. Shortly after, a success of dining carts are pushed in, the fragrance of the food mouth-watering. No effort was spared in this publicity stunt. He does seem enthusiastic, but maybe it's a bit much. Maybe he wants to turn this train trip into a key travel destination. Ginnungagap Island is also a popular tourist destination, so it makes sense to combine the two. Autumn glances at the passengers gathering in the dining area. Miss Schneider is in the dining area. Let's go greet her. What about everyone? Marius finishes your sentence before you can. Of course we can go together. I'm hungry and could use a bite to eat. I wonder how delicious it is, but it smells great. Yeah, let's go check it out together. Dining area. You have just entered the dining area and are looking for a place to sit when you hear the thud of something falling on the floor. Shouting soon follows. Watch where you're going! Do you not have eyes? There is another crash, followed by the muffled voice of a young man. What's going on over there? Mark Khan stands by a dining table, his eyes wide with anger, wiping the red wine stain on his pants with a napkin. Sorry, Mr. Khan, it's my fault. Apparently, the unfortunate young man was getting wine for the table when he bumped into Mark. And even more unfortunate, the wine spilled on a pair of expensive pants. Look at my pants, they're all wet with yellow stains, you clumsy idiot. Yellow? Aren't those red wine stains? I guess Mr. Khan is so angry that he got his words mixed up. Sorry, Mr. Khan, I'll help clean it up. In a panic, the young man puts down his glass and tries to wipe the stain with his napkin, but Mark pushes him away. Stop! You're making it worse. Don't touch me with your filthy hands. However, Mark's anger does not subside as he tries to kick the young man. Mr. Khan! A stunt crew member tries to stop him but is too late. Mark wobbles around, perhaps because his movement was too large or the space in the exquisite carriage is too small. With what seems to be a kick to the corner of a table, Mark schools and stares at the young man, raising his fist in anger. The next moment, Luke pulls the young man away and stops Mark's hand with his own. Mr. Khan, I don't think you should resort to violence. Some people keep up appearances and pretend to be gentlemen when, in reality, they're far from it. My ears were troubled by how loud you were. Pretending to be a gentleman but losing his temper in front of others. If I were you, I would probably hide in a corner with shame and reflect on what I did. You! Mark, who is grabbed by the arm, freezes for a moment. His face is flushed red, maybe because he was provoked. He tries to pull his arm away, but it doesn't budge. All he can do is stare. Who are you people? Just normal passengers. Passengers, did I invite you? Mr. Khan, this train is operated within jurisdiction. Do consider the consequences of being violent. Everyone, please calm down. Taking advantage of the standoff, a crew member rushes over to stop everyone. Mr. Khan, the conductor, Simon, needs to confirm the dinner banquet with you. Would you like to... As The crack bruise Mark seems to realize his mistake and walks away without saying a word. What's with that man's attitude? It was the complete shift from before. What triggered him? Dining car reception area. How did it turn out like this? The young man who just got into an altercation with Mark stands up while facing a window. Don't blame yourself, it was just an accident. Strictly speaking, this person is at fault, but it isn't something that cannot be reconciled. And Mr. Khan went too far in escalating the conflict. I know. Thanks for speaking up for me. I was too careless. I hope Mr. Khan won't fire me over this. Fire you? Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Amy Muller. Please call me Amy. I am an experimental logger for the Khan Corporation. Pleased to meet you. So you work at the Khan Corporation? But Mr. Khan didn't seem... I spend my days in the lab doing research with Dr. Ronson, so there's no way Mr. Khan would know a nobody like me. So you're here with Dr. Ronson? Does that mean you're also researching synthetic materials? Synthetic materials? Think your curiosity merits whispers to you. Dr. Ronson is an expert in new synthetic materials. Max wanted to work with him before, but talks ceased after news that he joined the Khan Corporation. Fortunately, I'm stuck in the lab most of the time, otherwise Mr. Khan would have recognized me just now. I might have been fired on the spot. Amy scratches his head with some relief. Speaking of which, from the way you're all dressed, you must be from abroad, right? Hello, my name is Shiraira. After handing out your business card, everyone introduced themselves briefly. Amy looks over your and Artem's business card several times, looking surprised. Themis law firm. I've heard it's a famous law firm in Stelis. To tell you the truth, I heard Dr. Ronson say that Mr. Khan considered hiring your law firm. Oh? Yeah, as far as I know, it's human nature to gossip, not for matter where you are. Interesting gossip can always quickly bring people closer. The distressed look has disappeared from Emmy's face and he's about to continue when... Emmy, you shouldn't be gossiping to outsiders. The sound of approaching footsteps reveals a middle-aged man in a lab coat. He taps on Emmy's shoulder with a thick lab manual. Although it was subtle, Emmy's mouth dropped before looking back blankly. Dr. Ronson! At the sight of this middle-aged man, Emmy immediately reverts to the submissive attitude he had when facing Mark. Come on now, we still have a lot of data to collect and you're out walking around. We must organize all the data before we reach Ginnungagap Island. Mistakes will not be tolerated. Yes, I'm coming. Emmy bows and gives you all an apologetic look as he follows Dr. Ronson away. Dr. Ronson keeps his focus on Emmy the whole time, not bothering to look at any of you. That's Dr. Ronson. Yes. He has a strange temper. Did he ignore our presence completely? The way he treats people is displeasing indeed. Could that be his arrogance on display? Yeah, how could it not be? Well, enough about him. Why don't we go eat something? Shall we take a look around if we have time later? Sure, there's no reason to be upset over random people. Hello, Miss Schneider. I'm a reporter from Bakerlon Mining Daily. Do you mind a brief interview? Maybe just a few questions, but you know me, I tend to keep a low profile and not waste too much time on interviews. Unlike some people who desire fame and will do things that attract media attention. I wonder who she's referring to. Haha, I heard you boarded the Mobius as a reference for expanding your company's travel routes, Miss Schneider. I'm not really interested in that. Speaking of future development, I would prefer to focus development on the mining industry. I see, then could you tell me why you chose to work with a foreign law firm? After all, expanding business overseas is a vital part of a company's growth. With that, Miss Schneider suddenly looks through at all of you with a satisfied smile. Isn't it a given that we would cooperate with the famous law firm to prevent unnecessary hassle? Mr. Wing, Miss Schneider is looking at us. Does she want us to go over? We have been in the dining carriage. If Miss Schneider wanted us to accept an interview, she would have notified us in advance. I believe she is showcasing her trust in us. Then let's find another opportunity to talk with her. What an unlucky fellow. Of all the people he had to run into, it had to be Mr. Khan. Mr. Khan's temper has been getting stranger ever since he arrived abroad. I heard he has a bad heart. I sure hope he doesn't get too excited. Hello, were you talking about Mr. Khan? Don't mind me, guess. I was just talking to myself. Don't be nervous, our encounter must be fated. We were just about to sit down and have a drink when we overheard you. Isn't this fate? I was just venting. Please don't say anything to Mr. Khan. Seeing everyone nodding their heads, the crew member continues. Well, how do I put it? Mr. Khan didn't really have a temper before. Yeah, Mr. Khan seemed like a gentleman during the embarkation ceremony. Could he be the type who loses his temper easily? When we were preparing the relaunch of the Mobius, Mr. Khan even spoke to every employee in private. He also said that his doors were always open if we had anything on our minds. I spoke to him in private several times, and he always seemed amicable, but just now he seemed like a different person. Do you mean you noticed a sudden change in Mr. Khan's temperament recently? Yeah, I'm guessing something must have happened to put him in a bad mood. Otherwise, I can't think of a reason why a person would change that much. Hey, team, look out the window. The beautiful scenery really makes this trip something to look forward to. How beautiful. It really makes you relax. I heard the train route that the Mobius will travel was a vital route for the Khan family to transport Earth a century ago. To align with its theme of historical restoration, they even modified the train carriages from 100 years ago. That means where we're standing right now, the scenery that we're admiring is all from that period. We're witnessing what the miners of Bakerlon saw. Can't you feel the historical significance? Yeah, I can't believe I'm here right now. This will be the best trip ever. Spectacular! I'm so lucky to spend the next 10 days or so on this trip with you, Laika. They seem to be enjoying themselves. I shouldn't bother them. But it does seem spectacular. I'm sure this will be the longest train ride experience in my life. Hey, you seem distracted. What's on your mind? Ah, I was just thinking that traveling on a slow train might be a new experience for passengers. But for the people who worked tirelessly on this train line transporting us 100 years ago, they must have wished for the trains to go faster so they could finish work quicker. Yeah, in the end, this trip is a leisurely experience for us. If it's nothing compared to what the people who work on this train line in the past had to go through. Dennis, where are you, my love? Strange, he was just in the dining carriage. Where did he run off to? Miss, are you looking for someone? Yeah, have any of you seen a bearded man with his hair in a ponytail? The woman shows you a photo on her phone. In the photo, she is holding a man's hand, smiling like a beautiful flower. In small print on the side, Dennis and Susan, true love forever. That's my husband, Dennis. My husband is usually quite cheerful, but for some reason, he's been mopey as of late. We were just having dinner when he said he wasn't feeling well and wanted to go back to rest in the carriage. But I just went back to look for him and he wasn't there, so I don't know where he went by himself. Worry not, sometimes people want to be alone when feeling down. Perhaps you can ask the train employees to help you search for him. They are more familiar with the train. Oh yeah, I'll go find a crew member. Thank you very much. The woman thanks you and hurries away. Hopefully her husband will calm down soon. The meals prepared on the Mobius are quite lavish. In addition to the local delicacies of Bakerlon, the train offers specialties from many other regions. After tasting the delicious foods on one by one, everyone leaves the restaurant and continues the tour. Returning to the exhibition, you find that Dr. Miller is not there. However, the documents and notes are still on the table, indicating that they were left there temporarily. Dr. Miller's note here. I was hoping to talk to him more about the Or magnetic fields. Maybe next time. Do you think it's possible that there are ores in the world that can record what happened in the past? The so-called magnetic field, is it really that amazing? It does sound far-fetched, but when you think about it, I believe there's some science behind it. It's similar to the principle of magnetic tape, which converts electronic audio signals into magnetic energy, then records it in that form. Bakerlon juices might have a unique magnetic field that we're unaware of. However, that is just speculation. Things in this world are not absolute. Is there not a saying in Celeste? Seeing is believing. Maybe next time we have a chance to speak to Dr. Miller, we can ask him to demonstrate. Hey, look at that display case over there. In the open display case sits a small display stand with white juices. Hey, its shape is similar to the one that Dr. Miller gave me. And the piece seems to be the right size. Out of curiosity, you casually set the small juice that Dr. Miller gave you earlier on the stand. Look, it's perfect. The truth fits neatly into the piece as if the empty space had been created for it. As you're about to call out to the others, your eyes glance past a window. The slow-moving mountains cast a shadow on the window, creating a faint outline in the shadow. Ah! Watch out! I... You cannot hear Luke's voice, which seems fuzzy, as if your ears have been covered by a layer of something. You look down and massage your forehead. Looking once more toward the window, the shadow is gone. Strange, did my eyes play a trick on me? What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Looking at their worried faces, you feel somewhat calmer. No, it's nothing. Let's return to the carriage. I guess I must be exhausted. I'll be fine with some rest. Then go back and rest. I'll call you when it's dinner time. Sure. You rub your temples gently and turn to follow the others. The sky darkens. A white rose is placed in the display case of a deserted exhibition, filling the base that had been empty. It emits a faint glow like an elusive shadow, quietly isolated in an unknown place. You thought you wouldn't be able to sleep because of the noise in the carriage. However, the slow rhythmic movement of the train turns out to be the best lullaby you could ask for. You sleep soundly this time. By the time you wake up and head to the dining carriage with everyone else, it is already dark out. I only wanted to rest for a bit, but I ended up oversleeping. Don't worry, you must be exhausted from the journey, so it's good to get some rest. Perfect timing as well, it's dinner time. Yeah, I'm feeling better. But Vin pauses, frowning as he tried to speak. What's wrong, Dr. Richter? The corridor seems a little different than it did during the day. What is that? He points down to the corridor. Fog? It kinda looks like it, but not really. It's hard to describe. At night, the mountain fog becomes thick, turning the mountains that were visible during the day into blurry outlines. Looking in the direction Wind points, something seems to be moving slowly in the fog outside the window. It feels as if the fog has seeped into the carriage. Why don't we get closer? Maybe it's a publicity stunt for the train. You're about to respond to what Mary said when suddenly... Ah! A scream comes from the corridor in front, creating an eerie echo through the empty corridor. The scream is enough to send shivers down your spine. What happened? There seems to be someone crying on the other side of the corridor. Let's go take a look. You follow the sound all the way to a guest carriage. Upon entering, Susan, who you met during the day, stands frozen in place, trembling. Don't come over! Don't get any closer! Susan! Susan, my love, what's wrong? Don't you recognize me? I'm your husband, your dear Dennis. A man keeps trying to calm her down, but her face is pale and she seems shocked. Susan, are you okay? You are. We heard the scream and came to check it out. What happened? If only I knew. I had to take care of some work before I boarded the train, which left me in a bad mood, so I went to an empty room to cool off. I didn't think much of it at the time, but the next thing I knew, it was dark. I heard a crew member say my wife was desperately searching for me, so I hurried back. As soon as I entered the room, I heard Susan screaming that there was something invisible in the carriage. What? I'm not too sure. She insisted that something hidden in the fog had drifted into her room and even spoke to her. You look back at the people behind you, many looking surprised. It is hard to understand what Mrs. Susan saw based on what Mr. Dennis did, just as you're about to ask for more details. You hear 3 knocks on the door from outside. Dennis, Susan, are you okay? This is Simon, the conductor. Do you need any help? Hello. You are stunned for a moment when the door opens. In addition to the conductor, there are many other passengers standing there. Many have the same frightened look on their faces, while others look troubled. Mark Khan stands out in the corridor, a look of disdain on his face. Everyone, Mr. Khan is here as well. What happened? Dennis had no choice but to repeat what he had already told all of you. Mark's face grows grimmer, but before he can speak, passengers in the crowd start shouting. I saw it too, just now, when folk come in through the door. A strange shadow appeared in the corner of my room. It's true, as an accredited journalist, I swear as well. And the shadow seems to be talking to me. Oh my god, oh my goodness, did I stumble upon huge? Sorry. The conversation between the two of them invites the other passengers to join in. With each word, the crowded carriage fills with a cacophony of voices. I want to say something, but I can't chip in. So, what's the situation now? A lot of people have met with strange happenings, huh? It reminds me of the past when people face strange things somewhere in the desert. Perhaps it has to do with someone as well. Who knows? To be seen by multiple witnesses in different locations at the same time. What could the so-called shadow be? Intriguing. Those shadows are not an artificial phenomenon. It may be a reality of the Mobius itself. Amidst your whispers, an old man's voice rises above yours. Like a spoonful of ice in boiling water, what follows after a brief sizzle is an eerie calm. Everyone in the crowd turns toward the old man with the kind face that had just entered the room. Dr. Miller? I've seen you on TV before. You're Dr. Miller, an expert in the research of the occult. What's the occult? Is that unknown mysterious forces? What does that mean? Don't say it out loud. It's too frightening. Dr. Miller ignores the whispers of the passengers and goes on. Don't you know, according to the ancient legends of Bakerlon, The fog of the Mayasan Mountains has the power to record everything that has ever happened in these mountains. Can you elaborate? The reporter, perhaps sensing juicy gossip, presses on keenly. The things that exist in this land will not change. They may present themselves at another opportunity. Like the Mobius, which has been in operation since 100 years ago, no matter how much it is renovated, it will always carry traces of the past. For those of you who don't know, the train we're on was originally an important route for transporting Bakerlon crystals. It is said that 100 years ago, some conflicts happened on this train because of transportation issues. Conflicts? Somehow, an idea comes to your mind. The person in the dream and the shadows passing by the window were not hallucinations, but a memory of the past. That's just what happens sometimes. Matters that are clearly unrelated are often tangled together by intuition. What kind of conflicts? Shut up, you old fool. This is an insult to the Khan family. Before Dr. Miller can say anything else, Mark Khan rushes over in a fit of anger. He has restrained himself somewhat since the incident at the dining carriage, but that doesn't stop the veins from throbbing on his forehead. I'm warning you, you better watch what you say, or I'll hire an attorney and sue you for defamation. Where's my attorney? Where did the guy from Sally's go? What a smell of alcohol. Mark Khan wobbles around and reeks of alcohol. He has been drinking. What are you doing? You shouldn't drink so much. Losing your composure is one thing, but it really does a number on your body. Mark Khan is visibly angered, but before he can say anything, a man in a doctor's coat pulls him back. Sorry, you have my apologies. My brother has had a lot of to drink. You are... My name is Young, adoptive son of the Khan family and Mark's personal physician. The young doctor's respectful appearance wins him instant favor over Mark. Mark had too much to drink at dinner and couldn't control his temper. Mark snorts coldly, but his eyes are wandering down the corridor. So, what about the situation on the train? At this point, the passengers won't be able to rest easy until the situation is figured out. When Mr. Khan is about to leave, the conductor, Simon, hurries to stop him. How about we check it out? You ask tentatively, looking at everyone for confirmation. Sure. I agree. Seeing is believing. Since everyone says there's something going on, it's best to see for ourselves. Yes, someone has to figure it out. Gladly. Everyone nods in agreement without hesitation. You guys are willing to check it out? Great! Then it's just down that corridor. There's something along that corridor. As soon as someone offers to investigate, the passengers start talking again. This time, though, their speech is mixed with excitement and curiosity. Everyone, my wife is having trouble calming down. Could you leave and let her get some rest? Why don't you all wait in the dining carriage? Yes, please wait in the dining carriage. In the dark corridors of the carriage, the fog stretches slowly against the wall like a living object. Strange, there is indeed something different. What is it? The fog seems to be thicker than before. I may be mistaken, but my body temperature seems to have dropped quite a bit. The Meissen Mountains are located in an inland region at a high altitude. Temperature drop does become more noticeable at night. Geography plays a role, but is this thick fog also a natural phenomenon? Stop, be quiet. Something is in the corridor up ahead. What is it? Not sure. Let's check it out. Shara, stay close to me. Yeah, I can vaguely make out a human-like shadow. Can you guys see it too, or am I hallucinating? No, I see it as well. Mr. Wing sees it too, so it's really there. Before you can react, the faint figure seems to notice your presence and floats towards you. The figure, transparent like the fog, comes off as particularly eerie in the dimly lit room. Your heart drops and Artem steps forward to shield you behind him. Don't be afraid, I'm right here. You nod gently, watching as the figure stops and makes a few noises. Whoa! Next, it's me, Angel. It can speak. Remember, there certainly repeats. The words trail off as the shadow fades in the darkness, as if it had never been there. The dim light makes you feel dizzy, but the sweat on your palms reminds you that everything did just happen. Susan, how are you doing now? I can offer a free counseling if you require it. Susan, now sitting by the window, shakes her head. She still looks distressed but seems to be doing much better than before. No thanks, but thank you for the offer. I'm already feeling better. It's just she frowns, somewhat hesitant about what to say. You and Vin exchange a look, knowing exactly what Susan is hesitating about. If you feel uncomfortable talking to someone else, feel free to tell us. We will believe you. Yeah, we're on your side. Hearing the affirmations, she reaches out to grab your arm, her voice trembling slightly. I saw it. I wasn't hallucinating or anything. I really saw it. There must be a ghost on this train and it can speak. Susan, you do not need to be afraid. Tell us slowly what happened to you. With Vince's help, Susan describes her encounter in detail. Susan, we believe you. There is a reason for everything in this world, and we will figure it out. Yeah, maybe you should go back to your room and rest up first. Sure, thank you. Vera, is that a human figure over there? As you look where Maris is pointing, you make out a pale figure of a person. There is something ghostly about it, especially against the backdrop of the night. Yeah. So my eyes weren't deceiving me. You see it too? Yes. Marius frowns slightly at your confirmation and takes a few steps forward while signaling for you to get behind him. At that moment, the faint shadow seems to hear your conversation with Marius. It turns around to look at you. Dreaming is the most reasonable plan. What done is done, only I'm not cruel. You spoke? Did I hear that wrong? The shadow shakes gently as if to corroborate Mary's words before speaking in a hoarse voice again. I must do this. It's not my fault, not my. You look at Marius, who is frowning even more at this point, his expression silent. Marius, you don't look too well. I'm fine. Things suddenly took an unexpected turn. There doesn't seem to be anything special here. Just as you're about to turn away, you feel a cool breeze across your skin. Wait, what's that? Looking where the breeze came from, you notice the fog passing by and disappearing in the corner. What's wrong, Shira? Why are you just standing there? I thought I saw something float by. Luke walks over quickly to you, a look of concern on his face. Did you not get enough rest? Are you feeling uncomfortable? No, I really saw it. At Luke's suggestion, the two of you check every corner of the exhibition. But shadow you saw at that moment doesn't appear again. Now I'm starting to wonder if I was mistaken. I believe you weren't mistaken. Yeah, there are many questionable things about this train. What you just saw is perhaps what Susan and the conductor saw. Yeah. Then this is. Walking past a window in the exhibition, you notice a Bakerlon druce that looks like a little different. The druce is emitting a faint white glow. This looks familiar. I remember it as well. Isn't this what Dr. Miller gave you? Yeah. Oh yeah, I placed it in there during the day and forgot to retrieve it. You subconsciously turn the juice. With that movement, the light of the Bakerlon juice changes slightly. Suddenly, a strange sound rings from the juice. Not far away, a faint figure appears. It seems to come out of the dark, floating eerily in the fog from which it was created. Before you can react, its hollow face changes slightly and makes an indistinguishable sound. No, don't. That is not the truth. Is this caused by the ore magnetic field? But what is it seeing? For a moment, everyone falls into a brief silence. The air feels stagnant, with everyone looking at each other, unable to explain the strange incident that just occurred. What do you guys think? Let's just say nothing is ever too strange. I wouldn't have believed it had I not seen it with my own eyes. So, do you believe that what we just saw is what Otomilo calls a magnetic phenomenon? It's tricky. I'm starting to believe Luke's hypothesis now, the analogy to magnetic tape. That's the only way to explain it. Probably because the crystals themselves have a remarkable magnetic field plus the night fog. When the ion concentration in the air reaches a certain level, they project the things that were once there. It sounds scientific, but way too bizarre. For a moment, you don't know whether to believe Luke. Just then, a white mask passes by. Ah, you feel a swelling pain in your eardrums as if something is blocking them. You subconsciously look down, pressing your hands against your ears. What happened? No. You open your mouth to say you're fine, but no words come out. Over there, a gust of wind appears out of nowhere in the dimly lit exhibit. It is chilly enough to penetrate through your clothes to your bones. In the direction of the gust of wind, a white shadow flutters behind the gold glass of the display case. In the fog, you can feel the shadow staring at you. It feels like a beast lurking in the darkness, gazing at the ignorance of mankind. What is that? When you ask that question, your mouth feels stiff. A human? No, not a human. It's a shadow. Or rather, the shadow of a woman. You can even tell that she should have a pretty face with that dress. She looks at you with clouded eyes, just like the ones in your dream. Her lips move, saying something. This isn't some kind of ion projection, is it? Is she trying to say something? I see her lips moving. Ka- hmm. Did she say Khan, as in Khan Corporation? I'll go check it out. Luke frowns, inspecting the shadow carefully for several seconds, then suddenly takes a step forward. Luke, you subconsciously want to pull him back, but Luke has already walked out of your reach. However, it is also this one step that forces the shadow to disappear before your eyes as if it had never existed. It's gone. Strange. It doesn't make any sense. Luke has a sullen expression on his face, deep in thought about something that confuses him. Luke, is it alright? The hairs on the back of your neck are still standing. For the first time, you feel the uneasiness of the unknown in your heart. The dining carriage is illuminated at night, making it more luxurious. The passengers are gathered in little groups despite what should be a roaring feast. But now, the dining carriage is packed with people with subtle emotions on their faces. The excitement is all but gone, and passengers watch in eerie silence, waiting for you to speak. Everyone, we did discover something. You calmly describe what just happened, trying to remain cool and objective. Even so, many passengers cry out in surprise. Just now, I saw the same white shadows. Yeah, I saw them too. They came down the corridor. It was so scary. What's going on? The train isn't tangled up in something abnormal, right? Could it be what Otomili said before? Something might be wrong with the Mobius, which brought on these strange things? If I had known, I wouldn't have taken this train ride. Oh, I don't want to die! The discussion grows louder and the fear inevitably turns to anger. Susan, who seems to have recovered from her fright, also engaged in the discussion. Dennis fails to hold her back. What nonsense are you spouting? Dennis, I've had enough of you and your wife's rude behavior. Don't forget, you two were involved in the planning of this train ride. You are defaming Khan Corporation's reputation. Those affiliated with the company best consider the circumstances. Mr. Khan's mood seems... Mark Khan seems more agitated than before. It almost seems like his face is flushed with rage and he is panting quickly like a wild animal ready to pounce on its prey. Mark, please calm down. His personal physician, Jan Khan, tries to pull him back several times but fails to stop him. Mark seems to be drunk. Can anyone help me? He has to ask another man to help calm Mark down. Mr. Khan, please calm down. That's not what Dennis meant. We're all supporters of the Khan Corporation and we're all optimistic about this project. Why would we sabotage it? The more he speaks, the colder Dennis' face becomes. Ernst, you don't have to deliberately say things to confuse people. Beyond all doubt, my wife and I support Mr. Khan. Really? I hope so. The man named Ernst raises his eyebrows as if taunting Dennis deliberately. They are both cooperative partners of Khan Corporation, right? But why does Ernst have such a strange attitude? You are still deep in thought when Mark Khan, who is surrounded by the crowd, starts shouting. Do you guys think I'm scared? Ridiculous. Haha. You think you can escape, Hill? Don't be naive. What on earth is he talking about? Who's Hill? Ah! Before any more speculation can be made, Mark suddenly shouts again. The sound, almost a growl, startles the whole dining carriage. Mark, are you okay? Yan Khan, who is standing closest to him, subconsciously lets go and moves aside. The others look at each other and follow suit. You think I'm scared of you, Hill? Haha, who do you think I am? As the crowd watches, Mark frantically waves his arms around in the air as if trying to choke something. He seems to miss his target, stumbling forward before waving his arms around once again. He does not seem to be mentally stable. He does not seem to intoxicated, but more like... Is he possessed? Susan exclaims before Vin can finish his thought. You believe many people are thinking the same thing. Mark, enough. This isn't like you at all. So please, calm down. Young Khan tries to calm Mark down again, but he isn't strong enough. Mark looks ferocious, throwing a punch at Young. Get lost! Yan Khan puts his hands up ready to block the attack, but the punch doesn't come. It isn't because Mark regains his senses, but less than a step away from Yan Khan, Mark collapses to the ground on his back. It is followed by a dull thud on the carpet of the dining carriage. Mark! Yan Khan freezes, then immediately goes over to check on Mark. Moments later, his face is pale. Luke approaches, taking out his modified device to check Mark's breathing and pulse. A minute later, he shakes his head at Vin, who is also checking on Mark. Vin casts his eyes downward as he stands up. How is he? A strong premonition rises in your heart. The moment you ask the question, you already know the answer. It looks like sudden cardiac arrest, but the dead silence in the dining carriage is soon replaced by noisy chatter. Someone died! Moments later, screams of terror pierce the already restless night. More than 10 minutes have passed since the chaos. Some of the guests have already left the dining carriage out of fear, while others remain waiting for the results. Meanwhile, the conductor keeps trying to contact the outside world. However, the signal doesn't seem stable because it automatically cuts off after connecting. Why does this awful situation seem familiar? No, things are even stranger this time. What is it? What is this? Autumn picks up something off the ground. Looks like a paper flower. It looks realistic. It's a red poppy. Where did you find it? Next to the couch, not far from where Mark just fell. Weird, there aren't any places decorated with paper flowers. Where did this come from? Maybe Mark dropped it? Never mind, even I don't believe that. Did someone leave it here? You mean a poppy? Oh my goodness, why is there a red poppy here? A scream interrupts your discussion. How ominous! No, I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here anymore. What's going on? Do poppies have an ominous meaning? I remember that poppies symbolize mourning for the dead, but to describe it as ominous, I do not believe so. The conductor is still trying to contact the police, and the situation is unclear. While we're waiting, why don't we talk to the Bakerlon locals? Yes, this paper flower is an important piece of evidence, so hold on to it until we can turn it over to the police. Yeah. Who would have thought that the head of a large family enterprise just gone just like that? You can't help but sigh, glancing at the corner of the room. No one knows what will happen next, but I have a feeling that this wasn't an accident. Why is that? Maybe my sixth sense as the head of a family enterprise. Mark Khan's experience is vastly different from yours, so it is not necessary to overgeneralize. After a brief moment of surprise, Mary's returns to normal. You're right, how rare of you to show concern for others. I merely do not wish for your emotions to interfere with our investigation. You. Before Maris can respond, Artem and Luke finish inspecting the crime scene and walk over. Did you guys find anything? Nothing. The dining carriage looks normal and nothing looks out of place. It does seem like a sudden accident. Scene? Yeah, the lack of any clues looks suspicious as well. A poppy. I can't believe it's a red poppy. That's bad news. Conductor, something strange can't be happening on our train, right? Hans, nonsense. We are trained employees, so watch what you say and do. We must remain professional, especially in front of the passengers. Alright, but after exchanging a few more words with Hans, Simon goes to inform the passengers of the situation. Hans, who stays behind, still looks worried. Excuse me, I overheard your conversation just now. May I ask what special meaning the red poppy has? The crew member doesn't immediately respond, his eyes wandering as if hesitating about telling the truth. I can't tell you guys. Dr. Miller? Following the sound, Dr. Miller appears out of nowhere standing beside you. Red poppies represent repentance and atonement. Usually, people only use this kind of flower to say they are sorry for making a grave mistake. Dr. Miller's voice starts to trail off. The death, the night, and the red poppy. In Bakerlon, the combination of these three means endless revenge and blood from the abyss. It is similar to a curse. A curse, endless revenge, and blood. Does someone on this train have a grudge against Mr. Khan? It must be the ghost. It must be. I saw it before. Oh my god, I should never have gotten on this train. This wouldn't have happened to me. My love, take a breather. We'll be fine. In a corner of the dining carriage, Susan is having a breakdown again due to Mr. Khan's sudden death. Seeing this, Vin rushes over to offer his assistance. Susan, do not think about anything and breathe after me. Everyone, move back. Give her some space. With the help of the crowd, Susan gradually comes to her senses, but there are still traces of fear and anxiety in her expression. My dear Dennis, I wanted to get off. There's something wrong with this train. Susan, I would take you away if I could, but the Mobius won't make any stops on the way. My love, hang in there, okay? This train is haunted. I would have gotten off it if I could. Mr. Lewis, your client's family is here. That was rude of you to say. William Lewis glares at Artem, then keeps his mouth shut reluctantly. The ghost topic brought up by Susan becomes a fierce discussion among the passengers. Actually, before we boarded the train, we heard something had happened on the Mobius before. Maybe using carriages from 100 years ago wasn't a good idea. It's been tainted with ominous energy, and that's why. That's true. Maybe ghosts from 100 years ago are out for revenge, and Mr. Khan was the object of their revenge. 100 years ago. The reporter was visibly shocked by what Tim said, but Miss Schneider, who is standing to the side, shakes her head in a remarkably calm manner. Those might be separate incidents. Mr. Khan's cause of death is unknown, so we can't just jump to conclusion. Yes, this is the age of science. But didn't you guys see it as well? There were shadows wandering along the corridor. No amount of scientific explanation is reassuring. Susan's words sent a chill through the atmosphere. Beneath everyone's seemingly calm exterior are wandering eyes, pursed lips, or closed hands. All signs betraying the insecurities and worries within them. Come on, pick up. Weird, can you hear me? Hello? Simon is repeatedly trying to contact the outside world. Prompts that the call is being connected are heard over the speaker, but then silence follows. Still no contact? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. It clearly says connected, but there's no sound. Seeing someone approach him, the conductor finally has an outlet to vent his frustrations. Look, the communicator on the train has a signal, and so does my phone. But for some reason, nobody is on the other end. You subconsciously look back, hoping to seek help from Marius, but you notice he and Luke are already looking into it. Bizarre, that shouldn't be the case. Did someone install a signal blocking device? But the phone displays full signs. Could the mountains themselves be blocking part of the signal? Maybe it caused by a natural phenomenon? Let me try another channel. They have great tacit understanding and are already working on the problem. 10 minutes later, Marius and the others still haven't come up with a solution as the conductor watches them anxiously. Hey, you guys have any luck? No, it looks like the terrain and the fog are affecting the current signal. Marius shakes his head helplessly. Yes, I tried it just now, and the same thing happened with my phone. We can try again during the day. My concern now is that this train doesn't make any stops on the way. Even if we manage to contact Bakerlon police, it would be difficult to send assistance. Moreover, the situation is unclear and there's no way to contact the outside world, making it difficult to reach out for help. The conductor furiously removes the communication button, then sighs. Well, in the worst case scenario, we can just wait until the train arrives at the destination, then contact the police. It's been one hell of an evening. No one expecting Mr. Khan to suddenly let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Thank you for the offer. However, since we're unable to contact the outside world, the only thing we can do for the time being is console the passengers. If there's anything else I need, I'll be sure to let you know. Passengers, please return to your carriages and rest. The night is long, but sleep eludes everyone. The excitement of riding the Mobius had long since turned to anxiety as everyone sits around the round table. In the silence, Artem brews everyone a cup of coffee, then sits on the couch. This incident, I think you and Artem speak up almost at the same time, and he motions for you to go first. You go first. I don't actually know what to say right now. The events that transpired tonight have left me puzzled. And some things have been, well, I guess beyond my understanding. The fog in the carriages and the shadows hidden within them. Mr. Khan's sudden death and all the unusual behavior that preceded it. It's hard to believe that these things are completely unrelated. We have no way to figure out how things are connected and how Mr. Khan died. What's worse, we have no way to contact the outside world. Don't you guys think we're really unlucky? Mary speaks in a light-hearted manner, perhaps trying to lighten the mood. It does help somewhat to dissipate the anxiety in the room as you reflect carefully on what happened in the dining carriage. Mr. Khan's death is indeed bizarre. Did you notice his movements before he died? You mimic the grasping motions that you saw Mr. Khan do. Look, didn't it look like he was trying to grab or choke something? Yeah, he was acting as if someone was in front of him that he couldn't see, that we couldn't see. It seems as though he wanted to choke that person. Hill. Luke moves his lips and glances at the night fog outside the window. Perhaps he wanted to choke Hill. What? You pointed out Mark's strange behavior before he died. Aside from his strange behavior, he said some odd things. He said something like, "You think I'm scared of you, Hill?" and "Get lost." Unclear rumbling and abnormal movements. Do you believe he was arguing with Hill, a person we could not see? Yes, I believe Hill had something to do with Mark's death. Those words sound more like facts than detective speculation. Look, can you tell us the ground for your speculation? Artem looks up, his eyes fixated on Luke's face. Then the rest of the room looks at him, observing something. You sense an elephant in the room, wanting to say something but not knowing what to say. I know what you're asking. I'll come clean. Taking out his phone, Luke unlocks it with a few clicks and places it on the table. Do you remember I said I accepted an international case before we headed for Bakerlon? This woman is Shayla Hill, the subject of this investigation. Shayla Hill? That's Hill? On the phone is a picture of a woman in a white lab coat standing in front of a solid blue wall. According to the client, Shayla Hill went missing a year ago and her whereabouts are unknown. I looked into her background and had a very little to show for it. Oh, how rare! So there are people that you can't find. Unfortunately, I can't connect to the big data lab, or I would have searched for her. I suspect that someone deliberately erased all traces of her, as well as her records. Indeed, it's hard to figure out where she is solely with that blue wall as a background. However, she is wearing what looks to be a lab coat common in laboratories of a medical research institute. Khan Corporation has at least 2 laboratories for biological science and scientific research for ours. Let's make a wild guess. Say if the hill in that photo Luke is holding is the same as the hill that Mark called out to, then we might be able to investigate the two events together. I think so, too. My anonymous client invited me to Bakerlon to investigate her whereabouts and even included a Mobius ticket. At first, I thought my client felt more comfortable remaining anonymous and so suggested meeting me in person on the train, but now it seems my mysterious client may know something. He deliberately put me on this train to let me find the clues. How can that be? The woman in the photo smiles tenderly at the camera with crooked eyes. But it is these delicate eyes that merge with the twisted vision in your memory. Those eyes, you've seen them before. In the dark night, in the hazy fog, in the dream that made your blood run cold. Clara, something wrong? No, it's nothing. You struggle to find the words to explain this absurd association in your mind. However, your quick thinking leads you to a conjecture worth discussing. Based on that assumption, Hill is a real person, possibly from Khan Corporation. Is it possible that the intoxicated Mark had some kind of hallucination and was reenacting what happened in the past, which explains his movements? That is plausible, but his hallucinations might not have been from intoxication. I do not believe he has been normal since his outburst during the day and just now. Vin, what did you discover? Do you remember what he said when he got into an altercation with Amy this morning? You try to remember what happened during the day. Mark was furious when Amy accidentally spilled red wine on his suit. Look at my pants. They're all wet with yellow stains, you clumsy idiot. Yellow? Aren't those red wine stains? I guess Mr. Kant is so angry that he got his words mixed up. I remember his suit was stained with red wine. But he said yellow stains. I thought it was strange at the time and assumed that he saw it wrong. Yes, I am uncertain whether Mr. Kant is colorblind, but he certainly had problems discerning colors at that moment. Perhaps the alcohol had dulled his consciousness, or maybe it was a cognitive bias from his emotional state at the time. But given his mood at night, I speculate. Dr. Richter, do you think Mark is just the drug that caused his mental state to destabilize, triggering hallucination? You can always read other people's minds. Vin smiles at you with approval. However, that is pure hypothesis and should not be accepted as fact. I need to find more evidence to support this hypothesis. I brought my own dissection tool, so I can do a blood analysis and we can examine Mark's body. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Despite saying that, Mary shakes his head honestly. After Mark died, the people from Khan Corporation took his body away, and there's no way they'll let us examine it. It's quite suspicious if you think about it. Why was the family doctor so anxious to hide Mark's body? Could he be hiding something? His reasoning was waiting for the police to investigate. However, it is abnormal when you think about it. If Mr. Khan's death was caused by ingesting drugs, then shouldn't the family doctor the most suspicious? Is it too obvious? Indeed, if he was a suspect, he shouldn't have exposed himself so thoroughly. But we can't rule him out for that reason. After all, he's the only person with medical knowledge who had access to Mark. So I guess after all the discussion, the best way to examine Mark's body is to examine Mark's body. But we don't have any history with them, and this is a stylist. How can we investigate? It feels hopeless. This Artem ponders for a moment, then suddenly taps his finger on the table. William Lewis. What? You mean that attorney from Bald? William Lewis was hired by Mark Khan. It is doubtful whether there is any need for legal counsel when the client is dead. True, the person who takes over for Mr. Khan at the Khan Corporation will kick him to the curb. By then, Bolt will have come here for nothing. So Mr. Lewis is probably more anxious than anyone to find out what's going on with Mr. Khan, right? Yes, I believe he could be our opening. I'll try to talk to him later. No one responds to Artem, not because they doubt him, but because they agree with his decision. Everyone knows, just as well you do, that when Autumn decides to do something, he has already come up with a detailed plan.